your walk of life ends up being, your future. Take the route of success.
Yeah.
Tell them my story and hope that my story will be as significant to their future. We need to know our history to go further. When I look back now, and all things work together for your good.
Eric Johnson here with Around the Way with EJ. We are here in the Virginia Lee Room here at the Gainsborough Library. First off, thank you to everybody with Roanoke Public Libraries that's given us this opportunity, sharing this room with us. I am pleased to be joined by a man that I first bumped into over a decade ago during my high school days. And once again, one of those instances, I didn't know who it was. I thought it was another administrator. I knew he deserved the honor and respect, but none other than Mr. Dr. Ronald Marsh. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's around the world type thing. And I say, I remember you passing you in the hall with William Fleming.
Right.
And you look like, and I was just coming back in the school system myself.
Right.
The road of doing marketing and advertising and bringing African American businesses together, doing expos. I was in Florida, South Carolina, and so I decided to come back in the school system. And William Fleming was the first school I started in. Matter of fact, two great women, which is my cousin Doris Ennis, and
wow,
and Elder, my sister, role model, Elder Clayton. Clayton.
Yes, absolutely.
They interviewed me and got me back in the system, and I'm walking the halls of William Fleming,
right?
And every day, and I see you. I said, man, this brother look like he's already class president.
on a mission, right?
And man, it's congratulations to to where you've come. And,
thank you.
Around the program that you have here. I hope we continue to be successful. You continue to reach out to the community, and I believe it's a drum major piece in our community. And so now here we are, man.
Here we are. I tell people it's a small world, and Roanoke's such a small circle as well. But to have this honor to sit down with you, first of all, I must say, forgive me, everybody out there, but he's got the bow tie for today. Okay, so we try to keep it loose. I try to be loose with this here, but hey, we'll let him make up for what I didn't bring today. So very interesting story. I got to reading some past articles and other news stories done on you, and you talk a lot about your upbringing being a huge part of kind of transforming who you are. A lot of people can say that, but it really truly seems like it really steered you in the right direction. So whether it was going to school during segregation or things of that nature, and really race relations in general has always been one thing that's intrigued me, especially here in the Roanoke Valley. How was that and navigating that at such a young age during those times?
Well, I was, meeting with, they had a meeting at the library here regarding Gainsborough, and I'm a historian, and have been, I realize now, for all of my life. I love history, and to be in this room is awesome, and it's the first time I've ever been in this room, and hear the name Gainsborough, Washington Park, Eureka Park, Melrose Park. And back in the day, you hardly could go, maybe in the early 40s, you couldn't go in another part of town easily, right? Mm-hmm. But when I was coming up playing basketball at an early age, I went to Eureka Park because I lived in that area, but I was raised practically all my life in the Southwest Roanoke area. And I always mention church when I mention a certain part of town. If I say Southwest Roanoke, I mention Jerusalem Baptist Church. Mm-hmm. I went there as a kid playing in kindergarten, and then went on to come to the Northwest area. But my upbringing in Roanoke, I used to walk from the Jerusalem Southwest area to Henry Street, where every Saturday they had a movie, and I would come to the movie, go in Dumas Hotel, reach up and buy some candy, go to Charlie's hamburger and hot dog place, get a hot dog and a hamburger.
Right.
And Kaiser's record shop was there. And I would go to the movies. So all of my life, and then the YMCA was just across the street to where I first went to my youth YMCA camp. And since then, so I have a history here in the area, in the whole Roanoke. I guess my first book gonna be called The Native Son, because I was all over Roanoke, even playing in Washington Park, Lincoln Terrace, Eureka, St. Gerard's, here Catholic football and basketball, Booker T, and the whole city has a place in my heart. You know, when I came to Monroe Junior High School as a basketball player, and Miller Bolden, Killer Miller, and some of the guys, you know, name those guys, and to look back now at how we came from a long way in the 50s and the 60s, and next thing you know, it's the 70s, and I'm at Jefferson Senior High School, 68. I think they integrated a couple years before that. My first year in high school was 68, where we was playing basketball, and we went on to win the district, and then the next year, my junior year, we were state runner-up, and then the next year we went back and won the state. And then I went off to a college and in Texas, played Division I, University of Texas at Arlington. And then I moved back to Houston with the hopes of playing for the Rockets, but it didn't work out. And then I moved back to Roanoke in 1993.
Nice,
and
nice.
That's when it all began.
Yeah.
You know, doing the Black Pages and working for the city, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, flying people in, promoting Roanoke as a leisure place for travel and business meetings. And so Roanoke is a very, very sentimental place in my heart. I'm from here, and it just and to see the Gainesboro area, you know, begin to pick up now.
Yeah, it's huge. You touched on something that I appreciated there, and you were speaking about when you played basketball, you kind of went to different areas of the city, and I can only imagine that opened your eyes to, even though this is, as we consider, small little Roanoke, some of us, I imagine that still opened your eyes to other things, to other people, to other ways that people in the city do things, even if it's just a little bit.
And that's what I see now in my one's upbringing. When I look back now, that all things work together for your good, you know. And when I encourage youth now to don't take anything for granted, because your walk of life ends up being, you know, your future. I never prayed or never said I wanted to be a pro basketball player. I just never said it out of my mouth. I never said it out. I desired to be one now.
Right.
But I never actually said that. I never actually said, I'm going to be a pro basketball player one day. I used to say that I'm going to be good, and every game I went in, I'm going to get 20. And I got 20. Nobody, you know, I feel nobody's going to stop me tonight, and nobody could stop me. But then I realized, why wouldn't I say that about making professional ball? But I retract to say that my upbringing, being able to come to, I had a cousin that lived in the project we call Lincoln Terrace, right, the project. And that's where, as a kid, I played Sandlock softball. And then, of course, when I put a basketball in my hand, I put everything else away. Right? But I used to come to Lincoln Terrace and play Little League softball. And we played against Northeast, St. Gerard, Eureka, and all these other teams. And when I would go and play at Eureka, different personality, different neighborhood, different environment.
Yeah.
Oh man, Northeast. That was the best in town, right? Ken Haley and all those guys, Michael Jordan, and all them guys went to Addison. And, But anyway, playing against those guys, and then Northwest, St. Gerard, and we were the Southwest Packers, and man, that really set me up for college.
I got to go back to the basketball because you know we do sports. So, be honest with me. Were you nice?
Well,
I was gonna say for a split second, we ain't got to be humble now. You was nice, right?
Okay, yeah. I was able to go to a Fellowship Christian Athletes camp when I was 17, and it totally changed my life. I got mentally, spiritually ready.
Yeah.
And I came back and I was scoring 20 points a game and led my team on to win. I think my highest score was in the Ronald Civic Center, 35 points. And back then, we didn't even have the three, man.
Super nice. That wasn't just nice. You was super nice
I
there.
might have got 50.
I was going to say.
But that was my biggest game.
Yeah.
35 and Salem Civic Center, against Patrick Henry.
Oh, wow.
Playing 3 times, and I tell you, it was tough.
Yeah.
The age was tough back then.
Wow. Point guard or what position? Two guard. Okay. So you ball handling, you had the shot. You had it all.
Mm-hmm. And as I got older, and as each level I went, I ended up being one.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Okay.
it was tough for me when I got to the one guard position. It was pretty tough making that transition in D1 because a one guard has to be a full gentleman. He has to bring his shots down a little bit and give the ball up. And that was a tough thing for me because when I got it, I was just shooting. But I had to make that transition. They had, when I was a senior, my last year at UT at Arlington, I was up for the Pizza Hut Classic. And it was a classic that the Pizza Hut sponsored. And people would go into Pizza Hut, eat, and our names would be there, different All-American players. And you vote for those players to go to Las Vegas and play in an All-Star game. I didn't make it, but it was one of the highlights of my life, being able to be sponsored by Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
And but I say it was a catch-22 because I ate too much spaghetti. My senior year, I think, man, I'm loading in the pasta, man. Then I slowed down. But anyway, Pizza Hut was a great sponsor for me and my college, and every year they would sponsor an All-Star, All-American game.
Wow. You mentioned that FCA camp was huge for you. Basketball was life, and I noticed that word was. Was that kind of what changed your mindset that, hey, there is something bigger than ball, even at that age before you got to college?
Exactly.
Wow.
I'm talking to my high school coach. There's always a story about me and FCA. He told my mom, he said, look, I'm sending Ron to a basketball camp. They're going to play ball, they're going to eat, they're going to have a good time. Black Mountain, North Carolina, beautiful YMCA place, But he didn't tell her it was a Christian camp. So I goes down there, I'm wild. And came back, and groups came back, and they wrote my coach a letter. They said, Coach, it was a great group, but this one kid, man, I don't think we're going to want him back. And yours truly, it was me. But my high school coach went to the University of North Carolina, and all his career, he was FCA. And he knew the secret to inner city young men like myself with attitudes, with the game.
Sure.
He sent me back. I went back down there and I accepted the Lord as my personal Savior, and came back and 23 points a game, and we went on to win the state championship. And that was a turning point in my life that started me to this day with Fellowship Christian Athletes, because I see at Addison, their team is great players, and I see other teams.
Right.
But there's a component in there. It's a spiritual component, and most good players, Stephon Curry, he's an FCA, and when I see him, I know that it's something different about him. He's spiritually strong.
Yeah.
So that's what I think makes a difference in an athlete. Because you see the athletes coming out warming up, they got headphones on. It's really, they're trying to get spiritually strong. So my thing now with youth is to take them. Matter of fact, we're going June 26th to July the 2nd. We were going to University of Richmond. Now we're going to Eastern Mennonite for one whole week.
Wow.
We go in, we lock down, and we teach basketball for the week. The main thing is to help these young men, teach them how to shoot a jump shot, how to pass, but understand that it's a spiritual component about being a good athlete as well.
I love that story because, as you mentioned, you saw that switch, you saw that turn. Like, hey, it can still be life, but not all of it, because there's more to life. It can be a part of it, and hey, even if I don't chase it first, it can still be good.
The other side of that is when I got out of college, I went to Houston with the hopes of playing for the Houston Rockets. That didn't work out, and then next thing I knew, I was coming into the ministry. So, I became a minister in June 1991, and then I continued to be with the YMCA as a speaker and FCA national speaker. And the goal now is to help young men to take the route of success.
Yeah.
Tell them my story and hope that my story will be as significant to their future, because not all the time. But I dropped out of school after my military. I went down and dropped out of school because I really didn't have any study habits. And since then, I was always a desire to go back to school. So I come back to Ronald, come off the road, I go back into the school system, and I went to Bluefield College for 18 months, every Monday night, to the Higher Education Center here. And I graduated from Bluefield College in 2011.
Wow.
And 10 years ago, I started a master's program. So this next month, I will have a master's in special education. I'm working on thesis right now.
I love it. I love it. Full circle.
Yeah.
Full circle yet again. And yet at the start of that goes back to that spiritual grounding that you mentioned that you had learned early on. You also mentioned helping young ones today see that they too can be successful. And I like to think that in their own right? Because your mold of success, it'll look different everybody you talk to, right? But you not only do it through the spiritual aspect, you're still in the schools, right? So you're still in the school system, and you're also helping out others as well. How has that been over the years, and seeing just the transformation of students walking the halls, because things are different than they were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, Absolutely. It's totally different, I imagine.
And I've been in the school system for the last, been in a classroom for the last 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
Since 2009.
Sure.
Now, count the years. And most I've been in special ed, special education. And if you would have diagnosed, if I would have been diagnosed back in the day, which we didn't do, of ADHD, I was attention deficit. I couldn't sit in the class and read. I couldn't study for a long time. Basketball would pop in my mind. So, but now I believe that's why I'm in special education, and teaching a student. And I've been in a class that it's a rewarding thing to see you be able to reach a kid, ADHD, dyslexia, and different learning disabilities.
Yeah.
I had one myself.
Sure.
So now I can reach back to that kid and come to his level and maybe help him write, help him spell, help him read, and so that's what I'm doing now. When I first saw you at Fleming, I was like, man, this, I missed my calling. This is what I supposed to be, And for the last 11 years, in the Ronald City Public School System is where I should be. I'm a product of the Ronald City Public School System.
Yeah.
I'm back now, and what I want to do is work with parents and athletes. Right now, I'm doing my thesis on parental involvement with their children in elementary school. It's how powerful it is to get parents to get involved with their students and homework.
Those small milestones, I can only imagine the joy that you get seeing that, having been someone that, as you said, you went through that at a young age, but now you can bring that out.
Right, and since then, in Houston, I started my marketing business. Shalimar Marketing Agency is where I went to companies and I helped them with their advertising budgets, where to advertise, when to advertise, and to. So that's what I've been doing, having my own business for the last 20-some years.
Wow.
Since 1992, I have my own Shalimar Marketing Agency. And then since then, my wife and I, we added another component to our ministry is health, wellness, and wholeness, where we teach what to eat, how to eat, and talk about how significant it is for an athlete or anyone to be able to understand that food is your medicine.
We did a story with Coach Ashford over at William Fleming, and I had kind of the same experience with him. I was like, had I not sat down and talked with you for more than 5 minutes, who would have known his path, his journey through tech and basketball, history with Coach Hardy and that sort of thing. And I feel the same with you. Like I mentioned at the outset, it was someone I saw in the building, saw often. I knew to respect him because I always respect him, my teachers and administrators. But wow, I mean, to hear your story, to hear your journey, how important do you think it is for kids to sometimes know the journey? And by all means, you can't talk to every student one-on-one every day. But for one or two kids out there that may see this, how important is it for them to know, like, hey, these are folks that have been on the same streets as you, same area, same city.
Right.
Really resonates.
Right. Well, I have an eye, and I want to, first of all, take this moment to congratulate you, BJ, because I saw something in you, and that I don't see in a lot of students, but I do see them. I saw you and we passed, and I saw you, and I just automatically saw your personality because, like I said, I've traveled. I've traveled abroad. I've seen successful businessmen, the role models, and how to do it, and how to recognize. And there's a thing that we have, it's called discerning of spirits, and I have that, and I can tell when an athlete is going to go further, or whether he's just going to be a playground player.
That's huge.
Because see, I was both. I was king of Melrose Park, and I can't wait till they put the court back in.
Right.
I saw you, and even now, it's so important that we know our history.
Yeah.
See, it's so important that we're here right now, and I was born in Burrow Hospital. In 1951, the historically hospital.
Less than a mile away.
Less than a mile away.
Absolutely.
And went to the dentist, and every time something was wrong with me, man, my mom was taking me to Burrow. Every time, but she knew that she had to take me, and it helped my career as well.
Yeah.
And health, it never had a knee operation or anything, but Burrow Hospital right here. And then to go back and read about Dr. Downing, all of these men that came before us, and I think that we need to know our history to go further. And I think history is so important with our kids, with our students now, that we need to emphasize, where we were so that they can know. And a lot of the generation above me, Miss Althea Polk, Gravity, she's my fourth grade teacher, man.
Oh, wow.
And I really loved her. She took a group of us to Jamestown, Richmond, and Williamsburg, not knowing until she passed at the funeral that she was director of special education. So
how about it? Wow.
So much because she knew that I was 8. I believe it to this day. But
you're right.
She took time with me, man. And took us kids to Jamestown and saw our history. So I think, but there was some Colin Powell. I think I'm just reading this book, and different people. Booker T. Washington, Up from Slavery. I read that book and I picked it up and I couldn't put it down. And the book was given to me from a box of books that a successful principal, Michael Cooper, which was a principal at Addison. He had the book. And I showed it to a guy. He said, man, I read that when I was in the 5th grade. I said, what? I'm reading this at 65. I said, if I'd have read this book in the 5th grade, I'd have been shooting hoops at Tuskegee. I'd been in Tuskegee.
Right.
And that book changed my life. 5 years ago, when I read that book, it changed my life. So I give them away now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I encourage students to read that book.
We talked about a lot of gems today. We dropped a lot of knowledge out here. Really? Do you have one piece of advice that's, I guess, sort of universal that you tell kids today? I know we touched there just about the history itself and knowing it, but even if you only have like a brief moment to spend with a kid in passing or something, one little gem you often leave with them just as a, hey, I may not be able to talk to you a long time, but here's a little something.
The first thing I try to find out is where they come from. Who have they been listening to? What they have been listening to?
Yeah.
And do they have a mentor? And most kids that I've talked to probably don't. They have a figure, which is way out there that they'd like to be back. But I bring them back in, and one question I ask them, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go in your future? Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
Yeah.
And from that question, then I began to talk to them.
Yeah.
And basically, when I leave, remember, I tell them, remember, you can do it.
Yeah.
It can be done.
I love that because that serves twofold. A lot of times we just need that affirmation from somebody that says, hey, you truly can do it. And then two, the question of where do you see yourself in 10 years? It's similar to what do you want to be when you grow up, but it's deeper to me. That's saying, what do you picture yourself doing versus what I would like to do? It makes you think a little bit. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It was a story about this lady and her grandmother. And her grandmother would go out every day and she would sit under this tree. And of course she was well up in age. She was blessed to be up in age. And she would go out at quiet time, sit up under the tree, and all the kids in the neighborhood would come around her, just playing around her. But the daughter got upset and wrote a letter to all the people in the neighborhood saying, keep your children from my grandmother, because it's her quiet time and it's her peaceful time. Not knowing that the grandmother enjoyed the young company. And the reason they found out, the reason that the kids in the neighborhood gravitated to her, because all the time they were around her, she was giving affirmation to them. And so they would come back and come back for that affirmation.
The affirmation.
You said the word, affirmation. You can do this. My grandmother, I remember in kindergarten, we were out playing ball, and my grandmother and she's gone on. She was 92. She's gone on to be with the Lord now. But I remember her out there playing softball. It was my first sport, and I caught the ball, and I can remember it. And I didn't know who to throw the ball to. You know, she was a kid. Throw the ball.
Yeah.
So I threw the ball home, and the dude got out. I just saw the dude run home, and she was there to throw the ball. And she would always say to me, all my career, never saw me play one basketball game, but she would see me in the paper, and she would always say that to me, throw the ball. Throw the ball, man.
Throw the ball.
Yeah, and that was affirmation to me.
Yeah.
Even when I didn't know how to throw, but that older lady was giving those kids affirmation.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, suffer the little children to come unto me, forbid them not. But there is the kingdom of heaven.
Throw the ball.
Yeah.
We're going to keep throwing it, man. That's it. We appreciate your time. Such a joy to finally sit down and get a chance to chat with you. Get to know who that person was walking through the halls so many years ago. Man. Great to see you doing so many great things, man. And we appreciate your efforts.
Both of us was looking.
That's it. We were on a mission. But hey.
We were looking to get out of
that's it.
I was looking to get in there.
That's right. That's right.
Interesting,
Absolutely. Such an honor, and continued blessings on everything you're doing for the community as well. We really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Kudos to Channel 10 and all the staff there, man. Great company.
Absolutely, and thank you to the library yet again, Gainesboro Library, man. This is what a great setting this was. We really appreciate the efforts and everybody out there.